Hi guys, so welcome to another portfolio update video. Today I want to go through how much I've made in dividends this year, mostly because the last company that's going to pay is MTN and they've announced that it's coming on the 28th. So this is portfolio as at the 21st of November. And the market has been going down, but that's always a buying opportunity for people like us that want to go long term. So before I go any further, if you're interested in this Excel, there's a link to it in the description of this video. And yeah, let's get into it. So before we talk about how much I've made in dividends, let me just do a quick update of what I've added between the last time I made this video and now. So for my Boa Foods, I do plan to sell it finally. It's only 5 units and I think I've more than made enough from it, right? And like 120 naira every year in dividends is kind of, at this point, I want to start growing it a little bit more, right? So I do plan to sell my Boa Food. My Presco, I added 4 units between last video and now, and there's a rights issue coming up. So dividends were paid, I believe, today, 21st, and I'm going to be taking up my rights of 49. So I think it's currently 1,420 or so. There's like a 30 naira difference between the rights issue and the market. So I plan to take up my rights and, if possible, buy a bit more in case anybody turns down their rights. USCN, no change. For Access, I added 1,120 units as well. That brought my cost per unit down a little bit. I like I said, I am long on GT. We'll get to GT in a second. First Bank, I do plan to sell First Bank. I've held First Bank in this portfolio for I think a whole year now, and I don't really like the trajectory. I believe this is one of the things that if I sell this year, it's going to rally next year, and everybody will be like, "Oh my god!" But I do plan to sell it at a break even or just a little bit of profit. GT, I added 486 units because I entered, I think, about 90 naira, but GT has been coming down. So I've been seeing like a buying opportunity. It's been steady around like 84, 85 naira. So I added some new units there. For Guinea Insurance, I did actually sell all my Guinea Insurance units, although at less than I would have wanted. So I think I only made 4,500 naira from the stock, which is terrible. I think if I had sold in at the peak of the time that they announced the insurance sector bill, I might have made more. But I just figured like I've held the stock for a while now and it's just time to get rid of it. It's not doing what I wanted it to do. May Baker, I added a bit more units there. So for May Baker, I added 500 units at I think 17 naira, which brought my average cost up again because I entered May Baker at 7 naira 50 couple years ago. So anything I buy now at 17 naira is going to pull that up a little bit more than I wanted to. And finally, MTN. So MTN, I plan to buy more units by the time they pay our dividends. I believe that will be next week. Yeah. So for the first time in I think 2 years, MTN has decided to pay us dividends, which I think is good. They are planning to pay 5 naira. We'll get into that in a second. And I think that's about it. So for what else I did add sterling. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah, I did add sterling to this. So I had mentioned the banks I was looking at adding to the portfolio in the last video, and I mentioned sterling. Sorry, not banks. The names. So sterling and Aradel. For sterling, I did add 15,000 units. It's not yet here because it was a rights issue. So if you look at all the bank performances after rights issues, is usually like an average of 60% growth, right? So I decided to get into sterling again because I did a whole video on it before, why I believe in sterling for the long term, right? And so let's see when those units reflect. I got 15,000 units at 7 naira per share. I think it closed today at 7 naira 20 kobo. So all things being equal, I'm up 20 kobo already when it comes. Aradel, I'll talk on this in a second because in the last video I did say I was going to buy Aradel, but I missed my entry point. In fact, you know what? Let's quickly talk about Aradel actually. So in the news, Aradel recorded 122 net income growth, 122%, and their 9-month profit doubled. That was actually a very good sign, right? If I had money at the time I made the video, I should have bought, mostly because, and I'll show you, if you go into this, right? So I did the video around here. So this is where the prices were about 560. But before I had money and could buy, right? The 9 months result came out, the company started to rally, and we saw a high of 870 naira, which was a lot, right? So for me, that wasn't a good entry point anymore, but it was worth it because if you look at the company's performance, right, they had a revenue surge of 538 billion. You know what? In fact, let me just let's do this real quick. So yeah, they had a revenue surge of 538 billion. They had a profit after tax that more than doubled to 245 billion naira, right? Which is kind of understandable because this happened. So like all the I mentioned before, all the companies that exited, right? So they left their shares here. Sorry, not their shares. They sold their assets to local players, and that's what's happening with Aradel. Similarly, on a good note, Tantalizers, a company that I have been long on, right? They recently secured a 5-year multi-million dollar seafood export deal. Now, this is good because Tantalizers is a company that I have always been long on. If you've seen this portfolio, I have always believed that they are going to turn that company around at some point, and I'm in it for the long term. So this was a good sign. And let me even show you why it was further so if you look at the price, I think that news was announced around here, and the price took it like there was a huge jump, right? To I think about what there was a change of about 20% in just a few days, right? So that's a good sign. And then obviously it's not enough to just follow the hype. If you look at the numbers, and this is I think interesting to me, right? The Tantalizers demonstrated a remarkable turnaround in profitability. For the 9 months ended 30th September, the company had a profit after tax of 41 million. Remember, I had been saying it. I've been looking at them for a while and they've been clawing back profits. And for the first time, they've recovered from a loss of 270 million last year to a profit after tax of 41. It's not a lot, but it shows you they are going in the right direction. Again, another reason why I'm long on this company, right? And then finally, MTN is another company I wanted to talk about. So MTN, for the first time in I think 2 years, they're giving dividends, which is a good sign, right? And I'll show you something with MTN. They say cash is king in business. Any company that doesn't have cash is playing a very, very dangerous game. And if you look at the statement of condensed cash flows, again, the summary from African financials, they make all these things a lot easier than having to digest yourself. And you can see it here. So net cash generated was 1.56 trillion naira. Jesus Christ. Net cash outflow of 841, blah, 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 blah. Overall, the company's cash and cash equivalents increased by 243 billion in this, 9-month period. Absolutely amazing, right? And then on the profitability side, where are we? So operating profit soared by an impressive 203%, and the company reported a profit after tax of 750 billion. Imagine. Compared to last year, I think where they had to record their what was it they had to do last year? I think it was the foreign exchange losses that they all had to record last year, right? Which made everybody's, numbers go down. But this was good. This was a good sign. And again, when you look at this, look at the cash, you can see why there's a 5 naira dividend coming, right? And yeah, so that's a bit on some of the news and the, of the stocks that affect this. But one thing that wasn't so good, and we're going to use this to enter dividends, is Access Bank. Access Bank had this. So their H125 profit was down 23% and all that stuff. And from this point, it was already looking funny because then I realized there was not going to be any interim dividends this year. Although GT gave us, but these guys didn't give us, right? So with that, let's get into how much the portfolio has made in dividends this year. So, boom, 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 boom. 93,900 naira, right? With a yield of roughly 3%. So this is quite good, right? And I'm actually quite impressed with this because as at the time I did the portfolio analysis for last year's performance and how much I earned in dividends, it was only 1,500 naira. So I took this portfolio seriously this year and we have made 93,900 naira in dividends. That is actually amazing. If you add that to the fact that as at today, the portfolio is up another 759K, right? So where we 759,000 naira. So again, because the market is currently down and all that stuff, right? We're still up 759K, which isn't so bad, right? And considering also that I've also taken out some money this year to actually take care of myself, right? So it's not actually been a bad yield at all for the portfolio this year. So 93K is not bad at all. Now, how did the money come in? So in Q2, I had 40,000 naira. In Q3, I had 40,300. So Q1, Q2, there's like a difference of maybe 200 naira. But Q4 is only 13. Again, because most companies in Nigeria pay between these 2 quarters, interim people are the people that pay you here, which isn't actually too bad, right? And if you take a look at the breakdown, again, nothing came in Q1, but in Q2, my biggest payer was Naco, a company that I also even took profits in, right, in July when it was my birthday period. So that's actually good. Naco paid me 20,800. In Q3, my biggest payer was Cornerstone Insurance at 22,000. And in Q4 so far, it's been my Presco interim of 5,400, which I'm reinvesting to get myself the rights issue. Okay. So a bit more, just a bit more detailed breakdown in terms of the dividend paying. NACO gave us 5 naira. No, sorry, MTN is giving us 5 naira, right? And that's good. It's coming on the 28th of November. I'm expecting roughly 800 naira there. So if I add another maybe 5K to that, I might be able to buy something, right? And then GT gave us an 1 naira in this period. Okomo and Presco 20, 10 naira, 10 naira 20 respectively. So that's not bad, right? But I think the big spike was in Q2 when Naco gave us 5 naira 94, and that was where the 20,000 naira came from. So again, this is just a quick update on how much the portfolio has earned in dividends this year, which to be honest, I'm quite impressed with, right? If you look at the growth of 1.5 last year to 93,000 this year, that is quite good. And again, it's just another way of illustrating that if you sit down and you sit in for the long term, the Nigerian Stock Exchange is not a bad, it's not a bad way to make money. It's not a bad way to grow wealth, right? It's actually been one of the best performing stock markets in a while. So this is your cue to start. I believe that there's no other person paying again this year, right? So I'll probably close out this year with 93,000, which is good. And then we'll see what we can get up to next year. Because again, if we restructure this portfolio, maybe move around some money, like for instance, my gain insurance profit, move that maybe into GT Bank. If I exit my first bank positions, I can put that into something else, and then we see where we perform again, right? So I will probably do one more video this year on this portfolio when I've like sold everything and restructured, probably by the end of December, just to see where we're actually closing out the year. And yeah, that's it. So like I mentioned before, if you're interested in getting this Excel, there is a link to it in the description of this and the description below. So like, share, subscribe, and don't forget, it's never too late to start investing.